We survive the fires of Selma and Nagasaki, and we will survive Palestine. We survive Vietnam and Wounded Knee, Rwanda and Mississippi. The 50 stripes around our stars, 50 years to life behind their bars. We survive middle school, shoot, and self-inflicted scars. Losing our mothers to our fathers' hands. We survived famine and genocide, came back from the dead and spread like wildfire. We survived slavery and gas chambers, biochemical warfare and lynching. The seeds from our strange fruit been sprinkled across this terrain by our angels. And everywhere we land, we're gonna take root. In every inch of rock, mud, and sand, we're gonna break through.
My name is Alixa Johanna Garcia Flores Bermudez Alvarez.
I'm Naima, and we call it climbing poetry.
I am a professional poet and a visual artist and a writer, graphic designer and multimedia, theater editor. I mean, anything that has to do with arts, that's what I do. And I do all those things at the service of a vision for a more just and livable world.
I'm an arts activist. I'm a poet, a painter, a dancer, mover, designer, MC. All the work that I do is really devoted to visions of healing, of justice, of really being able to uplift the stories that are important to bear in mind in this time. I really see art as a tool for personal transformation, for community resilience, for healing, for really being able to talk about the issues that are relevant to our community survival and being able to inspire ourselves and each other to really step into our full power to take agency around the change that the world is so thirsty for. That's why I named myself an arts activist, because those things feel inseparable to me, this creative force with a purpose.
I was 19 years old when I met Naima. As soon as we met, we started creating together. Within the first 6 months, we had organized our first national tour. And I had nowhere to go. I had given up my apartment, given up my job, and New York City was the last tour stop, and I was like, I've always wanted to live here. This is where I want to be. And so I ended up here 12 years ago.
We're so blessed that our work really resonates with people. We constantly receive feedback that folks are touched, moved, inspired, shaken, awoken, invigorated, reflected, connected by our work. And that's definitely what gives us so much inspiration to move on. People literally come up to us after a show and are like, do not stop. Like, you have to keep doing this. And we're like, okay, we won't stop. Whether we're preaching to the choir, folks that are already down with the cause, or folks that are like not expecting the message that we're bringing, there's something about the art that's able to transcend a lot of the polarity of the ego, the ideology, these kind of boxes we put ourselves in of like, this is my opinion about that. We just having this conversation all up in the heart and soul, and it's amazing how, that same poem can resonate and speak to somebody. I think for both Alixa and I, we think a lot about future generations, and I feel the energy of our descendants beckoning us forward, calling us to duty. It's like, there's no choice. Gotta show up.
Somos peyotes, somos coyotes, somos estrellas, somos tierra sin bandera, somos máquinas, somos lágrimas. We are beautiful, we're irrefutable, we are omnipotent, we're militant, resilient, we're autonomous. We are the consequence, we are consciousness. We are the heartbeat of every freedom fighter who came before us, and all will come after.
We've been trying to finish this curriculum that we've been working on for the last 5 years, and that's on the immediate future. We've really been all hands on deck. It's been really beautiful, very international effort to look at these systems of oppression, but most importantly, systems of resistance and systems of liberation, that are well and alive all over the world. And how do we create lesson plans and curricula that's exciting, that uses hip hop and animation and poetry and theater of the oppressed and embodied work, so that our young people can start to understand what is that they've inherited and how can they best apply their skills and their talents and their inspiration.
Yeah, it's not easy times that we're living in. We're definitely confronted with a lot of realities of violence, of trauma, of what feels like insurmountable obstacles. I feel very blessed that I've created an existence for myself where I feel like every day I feel like I'm surrounded by folks who are part of changing what's happening, who recognize the urgency of the time that we're living in. And so feeling like I'm part of something bigger than myself that has to do with a gradual shifting that this time is calling for. Like I imagine we're, on this bridge spanning eras and we're like, step by step shifting the tide of the story that we're walking into. And that gives me a lot of hope. Like I feel like I have no choice to give up or, sink into despair.
I think if people knew, that they would do. And so I think that's the main kind of drive behind what Naima and I do, is how do we get these very complex systems, dilute them down into rhyme and into poetry and into video and into animation, and get on a stage and share it with folks so that they can start to understand how they intersect and interconnect with one another. It's very easy to talk all day about activism and wanting to change the world. A lot of people want to talk, but they don't want to do, or they might want to do and they don't know to do, and so how can we push each other to do? How can we check each other to do? And how can we educate each other to do? If you make changes in the smallest places in your life, you'll soon start to see that the next step isn't that hard.